Cool. So we're going to share now how we made over $1 million in net profit from just two real estate deals. So at any point, if you have questions or anything, just chime in. So just know that. Otherwise, I'll just roll. So this is deal number one, 9300 Winchester Road in Austin, 78733. A little bit about this deal. It's a 4.3 acre piece of property in one of the nicer areas in Austin. So that's one of the big things that we liked about this deal. The house needed a lot of work. It was a 1993 build that hadn't been touched in 30 years. The owners built the house. They sold it to another investor. The other investor couldn't figure out what to do with it. We bought it from that investor. So it really was a single owner home built in 93 and didn't really do much to it in 30 years. The deck was falling apart. Other than that, the house had pretty good bones, but just a lot of old carpet. They remodeled the kitchen, but it was like the craziest remodeled kitchen I've ever seen. It was not, everything was sort of in the wrong place. You'll see some pictures here in a minute. There was literally carpet in the bathrooms, in the master bathroom. I mean, it needed a lot of work. So we did like a full demo, full renovation. And then what really made this project extremely profitable was the land. Because it was on 4.3 acres, we did a feasibility study. We realized that we could create 3 additional lots. And this is in an area where in 3 additional 1+ acre lots in an area where you can't find an acre under $1 million. So it's a really nice area of Austin.
This is in West Austin?
Yeah, just west of on B Caves Road, just west of 360.
It's nice, man.
Yeah, so not quite Westlake Hills, but just west of Westlake Hills, and you're still Eanes ISD. Really, just pretty close to downtown. Beautiful hill country, and you'll see here in a minute amazing views and stuff. So that's deal number one. So a little bit about this. Why we like the deal. And I'm literally taking these bullets from the bullets of the presentation that we presented to our investors, which we'll get to in a minute, prior to taking on this investment. So this is what we liked about the deal going in. It's prime real estate. It is established high-end neighborhood. Eanes ISD, it's the most highly sought after school district in Austin. It was very close to the Seven Oaks subdivision. You literally have to go down Marley Way, which is Seven Oaks subdivision. It's one of the nicest subdivisions in Austin. They're, $3 to $7 million homes. So you're driving down this incredible, beautiful street with these incredible properties with hill country views and everything. And then you make a left and you turn into the neighborhood where this house was or is located. So the buy price, they had this listed on the MLS at 3.5 million a year before we bought it. And then they kept coming down with the price. We ended up getting it for 2.2 million. And we saw that the exit price should be somewhere in the range of 3.7 to 4.3 million. And that's with renovating the house, dividing the land, and selling the house plus 3 1-acre plus lots. So that's how we got to that.
Hey, Mike, real quick, about when did you buy this?
What's that?
I was just curious when you bought it.
When we bought it in November of 2023.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And one second, guys, I'm just gonna shut my office doors. Yeah, we closed in November 2023, just before Thanksgiving. So yeah. And then the other thing we liked about it is it backs up to the Balcones Preserves. So you have these amazing views from the house. And some of the lots will have views. Some will have, well, 2 of them would have level 1 views. Another one may have a level 2 view, or maybe level 1, depending on how they build. But just really neat views. So that's a pretty cool thing. So not only getting an acre plus in an area where you pretty much can't even find that land. If you do, it's very expensive. But also having views in addition. So those are the things we like. The other thing we like going into the deal is that having 3 lots plus a house allows us to be flexible with the strategy. And also just selling things at different times could help pay off the debt. We also had the strategy, if necessary, to build on this property on one of the lots or one or more of the lots as an alternative strategy if it took us too long to sell the land, for example. The other thing was downside protection. And so again, having 4 properties to sell gave us some options. In the worst case scenario, we could sell one of the house or the lot or one of the house or one of the lots at a lower price just to get some cash flow. The home condition, apart from it being outdated, the home was actually in great condition. The inspection was very clean, had pretty new AC units and, all the major items, no problem with foundation, plumbing, electric. So very good bones. And we actually got 2 inspections, one from the seller, and we did our own. And we also, presented a quick turnaround with the goal of remodeling the house, selling within 12 months, and then also getting the lots marketed with the goal of selling everything, the lots in the house, within 18 months. Or if we were to build, the goal was to sell everything in 36 months. So pretty quick turnaround for our investors. So that's what we liked about it. So now I'm just going to take you through some before and after pictures and kind of point out some of the stuff we did to the house, just to kind of give you an idea of like the fix and flip aspect of it. So there's a before and after. You can see some of the big things we did. We replaced this door with a really nice glass modern door. We replaced all of the posts here. Actually, we just covered those with like 1x6 pieces of wood, painted them white to make that look a little cleaner. The posts here on the porch, we redid the sidewalk here leading to the property with like some modern, redid all the landscape you can see around the property. We redid the patio. It was like this red brick looking color. We put these nice like 2x2 stone tiles. This window here in the front, you see that 2 double hung windows that didn't look so good. So we put the 1 single pane window, the picture window here. We got rid of this weird kind of black design thing here on the front of the house and just replaced it with the white siding to clean that up a little bit. We painted all the window trims black. You can see they're white. We painted them black to make a little bit cleaner look for all the windows. And then we redid the entire deck. Again, the deck was falling apart. That had to be redone. We got some better pictures of the deck. So the exterior, apart from the door and the window, we did a few doors and windows, but exterior wise, not too much. It actually had been recently painted. Oh, and you can see also in the upper right above that window, it had some weird funky wood design thing. So we just chopped that off and put a straight piece of wood to clean that up. But yeah, so nothing too crazy on the exterior. They had recently painted, so that was nice that the first investor did paint. So that's that. Now the inside, this is where things get different. This is actually the same picture, if you can believe it. You can see it though, right? And there was this big stone wall dividing the kitchen and the living room, which we thought was weird. And you see this big freaking beam in the kitchen over the island, which was also very weird. So we basically had to raise that beam up into the ceiling, and then we created this big cross beam here to support, to make up for the support of that wall, which opened up the space and made a much better space transition, modernized it. And as you can see, there used to be a window here, a little rectangle window. We put in a big arch window. Over to the left of the window was the stove. It was like a gas cooktop stove, which again is a weird place. for a stove, like right there on that corner. So we put the fridge and the cabinets there. We kept the sink by the window. That made sense. We kept the dishwasher there. It made sense. This was also a weird island. It was kind of like a square shape with a rounded edge. So we ended up widening that. And you'll see in a second, we had to move a whole wall, well, a bunch of cabinets and stuff to open up the space so we could even do that. But we ended up widening that, making like I think it was almost a 9 foot wide island, like by 5 feet. We put cabinets on both sides of the island, so you can't see the other side, but there's cabinets there. So it's a really nice big island. So yeah, obviously new lighting. So definitely a lot of changes there.
Hey, Mike, I'm curious, how did you took one beam out and then brought in a cross beam?
Yeah, so the beam that was hanging down, and you kind of see it in the old picture, we lifted that up into the ceiling.
How did they do that?
I
Funny
mean,
because I was going to ask that too.
Right.
Because all the talks we had on this house, I don't recall that. I remember there was a beam issue, and there was a support, and it was really heavy. But I get the stone being a load bearing, but was that beam load bearing also that was exposed over the island, the original one that you moved
right.
up?
Yeah, so we had to basically just bring it up into the ceiling, and we were able to do that because we had the space to do that. So we kind of had to re-engineer that, up in to make it more of a, I mean, we just brought it up to basically the bottom of the beam was at the ceiling level. So I mean, we had to demo everything and redo like a lot of stuff.
Okay, yeah, I've never even heard of that. I mean, I've heard of bringing in big beams like you did going across, but I've never heard of raising one.
So
Yeah.
that beam is still like a support for the house?
Yeah.
Or- okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
just a full cross section. That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
And that's also why we had to have the cross beam because the cross beam supports the other beam.
Mm.
Yeah. So the cross beam supports that wall and then the other beam from the kitchen. And it's a 2-level house, so that beam in the kitchen. So actually, now that I think about it, okay, this is what they did. Yeah, now I'm remembering. So the previous owners actually expanded the kitchen. And so that beam was probably not in the original house. But rather than doing the re-engineering to make it look nice, they just kept it there, and then they bumped out the kitchen onto what was like a patio previously.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it was more or less aesthetics then
Yeah, and
once
so
they expanded out, right?
they just did kind of like I said, a bad remodel in the kitchen. Like, so rather than addressing that with a remodel, they just left it. But it really looked bad, and it was just weird. But yeah, any other questions over this stuff?
I like how all of our minds went to the beam.
Hey, is that fireplace? It was charcoal at first, and now it looked like it's electrical now.
Yeah, that's a good call out. So yeah, it was a natural fireplace, and for the sake of like design and functionality, we decided to completely redo that wall. As you can see, there was shelves on the left, there was a window on the right, and the fireplace wasn't even in the middle of the room. It was weird. It was like off center, and again, having the shelves on one side, the window on the other side, that was just weird to us. So we just decided to make it one big, nice fireplace right in the center of the room. This is actually like a porcelain tile, but they're massive tiles, like 5 foot by 3 foot tiles. So big, big tiles we brought in to create that space. And then we brought an electric fireplace instead of running gas. And so, the bones for the fireplace are still there. So if somebody just hates it and wants to redo it and make it more of a natural fireplace, they can still do that. But we just like the modern look. And electric fireplaces are actually a lot more practical because they actually bring heat into the room. They can function as a heated device. So that's what we did with that.
Yeah, I seen the chimney on that on the other picture you had. So like
Mhm.
uh
Yeah, so it still function. I mean, it still could function as a regular fireplace if somebody wanted it, but we just decided we're like, what do we do with this fireplace? It was a mess. It was off center. Didn't quite look right, so we just redid the whole thing. Um, all right. Anything else with this? All right, cool. We'll
I
keep
think
rolling.
we're good. Yeah.
So this is another angle of the kitchen. As you can see, not the most attractive kitchen. That weird kind of rounded island. The fridge just sitting there on the wall. Um, backsplash tile, not so great. I mean, granted, like it's not like a terrible house, but when you're talking about a multi-million-dollar house in this neighborhood,
Yeah,
it
for a fridge to be completely by itself just as off-putting in $1 million house.
yeah, yeah. So that wasn't going to work. So this is what we did with this space. Again, we moved the fridge over to the left of the window, the new window here. We put the stove in a place that makes sense, right in the middle of the wall. Brought in a custom hood. Really nice stove too. It's an ILV stove. We got that like on special. It's like a $7,000 stove. We got it on clearance for like $4,500, but really nice Italian made stove. It's kind of a centerpiece for the kitchen. This tile backsplash was marble, but like all of this stuff you guys see, most of what we got was either from Wayfair or Floor and Decor or Amazon, like nothing. There's a few things we splurged for. The stove was one of them. We brought in a cabinet and countertop company. They're out of Round Rock called Elite Kitchen and Bath. Highly recommend them just because they do quality work at a very good price point. We've worked with them before. So, I mean, we brought them in for that stuff. But like everything else, we just found it at these local places are not so crazy. We did not go spend a whole lot of money. I mean, at the floor, we got that flooring from Hardwood Bargains in Cedar Park. It's a really nice white oak floor, but they were asking for $6 a foot. We negotiated them down to $5 a foot. And that's right, everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable. So we took them down to five, and $5 a foot for really nice hardwood floors. You can easily spend 10 or 15 or $20 a foot, and a lot of people do. But one of the things that we really work hard at is to be efficient. That's our profitability, right? So give my wife all the credit for how beautiful this stuff looks because she is the design. She's the designer. She's the architect. Um, she gets the credit for this stuff. She spent hours and hours, I mean, probably hundreds of hours scouring the internet to find not only the right look, but also all the right stuff. So, she's definitely a partner in this. And my role is more on the financial side, the business side, and managing all of the contractors, which of course is the best part. Love managing contractors. It's the most fun thing to do, right, Chris?
Oh yeah, if you're paid to be a babysitter.
Oh, man. Adult babysitting, yeah. So anyhow, but any questions over this one? All right, we'll keep rolling. So this I'm showing you guys. So this was a wall. Okay, if you look at the uh, the after picture on the right hand side of that after picture is the wall that you see on the left on the before picture. I mean, on the back of the before picture. We removed all of those cabinets so that we could open up the space and create that wider kitchen. So that wall you see on the right hand side of the new picture was where all those cabinets were. And in that arch, you see that arch going into the next room, that was actually a wall, and the door was on the left, right? Because the cabinets were on that wall. So we had to we got rid of the cabinets, redid the wall, moved that entrance over so we could create a bigger space, a more open space, a bigger island. And that's why the island was square like that, because there wasn't enough room to walk through it. You can kind of see on the left-hand picture the edge of the island, you know, and that path walking through. So that was one of those things, just again, just a lot of thinking about, like, how do we make this kitchen work? And that's what we came up with was, okay, scrap that side, move the entrance, widen the space. Now we can put a nice island, get that uh, stove right in the center of the island, bring the cabinets around it, create a good look. Um, any questions over this one?
No, you're good.
All right, keep going. All right, so this is the side of the house. That's where the deck was. We demoed the deck, but it was in really bad shape. And if you look at this, you see that like white bench on the left-hand side. They just put like a little bench thing. So the deck, the original deck, went to this post here where that white bench starts. That's how big the original deck was. So one of the things we did is we made a new deck, but we took it all the way to the corner post. You'll see that in a second. Actually, let me just bring it up here. So we put in a new Trex decking. And, you know, again, the deck is probably one of the most efficient items we built. We brought a couple guys out to quote us, like contractors to quote us for this deck. And the prices we got were like 50 to 60 grand, which I thought was crazy. So we went through, you know, Lowe's. This Trex decking is kind of the lower, it's like it's a lower end decking. It's like the least expensive decking, but it's very beautiful. And, you know, went through their program, their pro program or whatever, had them do a bid, you know, got a discount, all that fun stuff. And then, you know, we were able to build this deck. Oh, and we splurged a little bit on the rails. We did custom iron railing. We paid like $5,500 to do some really nice rails, but and it's a good, you know, probably 130 feet of railing. It's a lot of railing because it's a 40-foot wide by 20-foot deep deck. So it's a lot of railing, but and it with stairs and everything else. So doing the math on it, it's like, well, we could probably do it from Lowe's and Home Depot, do it cheap for like 3 or 4 grand. We decided to splurge a little, make it really nice. Again, $1.7 million house. So, but all that, the rail, the deck, the labor, I think we did it for like 15 grand, you know, 15, 18 grand, when the contractor company would have charged us 50 or 60, you know. So it's just, that was pretty cool. And then you can see that this deck is where the views are. Okay, the views of the hill country is like coming off of the deck. So on the before picture, you see that those 2 double doors, these tiny little doors, and that's like a living space where you could have an amazing view. So we opened that up. We got a 9-foot wide triple slider door to really open up the views. That was a 5-foot double door. So we put in a 9-foot triple door.
How much was that door? Because my brother-in-law and sister just got a door, and it's just a single slider, and I think they spent something like 8 grand on it. They're crazy expensive.
Yeah, so windows and doors, there's such a wide range of pricing on windows and doors. And so we went with, like, you know, lower middle level grade, because really, I mean, you don't get that much better of a door or window by splurging, you know. So we didn't go with the lowest, but we went kind of mid-level. I think that particular door, that slider, man, I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe it was like 3 grand.
You remember what brand it was?
It was oh man. Oh, well, so we got it. Where did we get? We got it from Lowe's. It was it was like a 2500 series. I don't know if it was Geldwin. Was it Geldwin? Hold on, let me see. Maybe I can find it real quick. Lowe's door. Search my, okay.
Yeah, that'd be a Geldwin.
Yeah, it's crazy. I never realized the cost that these glass sliders were going for these days. just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I think it was Geldwin, but I know they sell a lot of different brands, but yeah, it was something like that. Or is it 2500? They have like the 2500 and the 4500.
Yeah, Judwin makes a 2500 series.
There you go. That's what it was.
And do those also do the slide in and out where you could like virtually like
Oh,
move it to where it opens all? Oh, okay.
no, and
I
that, yeah,
forget.
only one of the doors open, so it doesn't like collapse or anything. And
Yeah.
and that's kind of stuff that can add a lot, but again, in Texas, like we've got 4 of those in our house. We never use them because it's like really freaking hot, or there's bugs. So it's like you don't want to just be
Yeah.
letting bugs in. You live in Florida with a nice, protected, screened-in back patio. That's
Yeah,
cool.
those were cool. Those were cool. They even did it on their garage, remember?
Yeah.
The screened in garages.
So yeah, I mean, but that's one of those decisions, that we decide, we weren't going to spend a bunch of money on windows and doors. Didn't make sense for us anyway. So another little thing here, you can see these windows. We took this slider and made it of all glass because again, this is where the views are. So we did a picture window here, and then this is a really cool thing. This is actually the master bathroom up here, this top second floor window. And you can see they had a little double hung and some weird looking thing there. So we took that shape and we just made one big awesome picture window custom, which then creates an amazing view for the master bath. So yeah, so that's this side of the house. Any other questions or comments on that? All right, keep rolling. So this, again, kind of showing you what was that wall in entry, right, from the kitchen. So we moved that here. There was this stuff. We got rid of all that. That's where the new arch is here. The other thing that was weird in this house was this kind of like stepped arch thing here. So we created a different arch. So you're looking, it's 2 different angles here, but oops. Yeah, so on the right-hand side, you're looking into the space you see on the left-hand side. But I wanted to show you all that arch there. Then you can see the views from that triple window. You see how beautiful that is? That's actually the other side of Lake Austin. So you're seeing like the opposite side of Lake Austin. Beautiful views. In person, it's majestic. I mean, the picture doesn't do it justice. Really beautiful. You can see new lighting, obviously the new floors, and again, some people maybe said, wow, they weren't bad wood floors. They weren't in bad shape, but they're not really in trend. Right. And so again, we decided to go ahead and rip up all the floors and put in some nice wide plank, white oak floors, because that's what's in trend. So that was a decision to spend money. We thought about maybe, sanding them and staining them, but that's still pretty expensive. And it's still those narrow planks, which are not in trend. And so we decided to go ahead and spend the money on that. Any questions over this one?
That's a really dramatic shot right there.
Yeah.
The back window.
Yeah. Well, that's why we opened it up, right? I mean, they literally had 2 double doors, like a 5-foot door. I'm like, no, that's you, man. Like, oh, and they lived there 30 years. It's like, oh, 30 years without the view.
Yeah.
All right, so this was a master demoed. I couldn't find any pictures pre-demo, but you can also see we moved some stuff around here. You can see from the left-hand picture. So there used to be, the wall used to be where, that up in the ceiling, where you see that fresh drywall. That was the previous wall, and we moved it back and redesigned this space. They also had a tub shower for the master shower. That was it, a tub shower combo. So we completely redesigned the master bath. This one took probably the most thought, and again, give my wife credit because she's the architect. She figured out how to move these walls and get it just right. But that's what it looked like afterwards. So definitely looking better. Again, they had carpet in this bathroom. You know, they had I mean, everything was 30 years old. So again, this was a Wayfair purchase. This very nice, it was like $3,000, you know, but not crazy. I mean, you could spend a lot more than that on this cabinet. We brought in some good Delta faucets, but like these mirrors and lights, they were not crazy. Maybe 100, 150 bucks. Shelves were not crazy. We did end up putting marble floors down, but again, we got those for like $8 a foot from Floor & Decor. It wasn't that crazy. And this is porcelain tile on the sides. Floor & Decor, $6 a foot, maybe 7 a foot. So nothing too crazy here. And it did have like I think it was a quartz top and backsplash, you know, white oak cabinets, you know, so just very nice. But again, you could spend a lot more money, even paying somebody to build that too. So this is the other side of the bathroom. You can see the little window I was talking about from the outside, the little double hung with the stupid thing on top. And this is what we turned it into. So we brought in a separate tub that wasn't there before. Again, they had the tub shower combo, so we had to move plumbing for that. That was a bit of plumbing work, but again, you know, making it, you know, something we want to sell for, you know, the high almost $2 million. We want to make it nice. We did it. We went ahead and put that porcelain all the way around the tub to create the look there. Little marble nose on top. And again, Liana said, oh, let's put some mirror and lighting here. So we added that. And so here, the closet situation was also really weird. They actually had 2 separate closets. So one of the things we did was this was one of the closets where the shower, and we turned that into a shower. So that became an amazing stand-up shower. You know, put the double shower. You can see both sides. We've got the fixtures, and with that blue tile, and did the custom glass. So people really tended to like that. Got the little seat in the corner. But as you can see, that used to be a closet. So we had to redo that. And then this was the downstairs bathroom. So there's a full bathroom downstairs. Again, redid that. That's actually a wallpaper on the back there. A lot of people think it's tile, but that's actually like a high-end wallpaper, you know, waterproof, all that. And, you know, again, Wayfair, this vanity was like 600 bucks from Wayfair. It's, you know, got a quartz top, sink and everything, but nothing too crazy. Then we redid the shower, you know, the custom glass for the shower. That was pretty expensive. But nothing, I think it was like $1,000 for this one, maybe 1,500 for the other one, but you know, custom glass. And then tile from Floor & Decor, did a little penny tile on the bottom and in the niche, and then some large white, kind of white with the gray, you know, accent tile, very clean. All right, we'll keep rolling. Y'all just chime in if you have anything. I'll keep rolling. So this was the second bath upstairs. So again, just complete demo. Another Wayfair vanity. I think we paid like 1,500 bucks for that one.
How many bed? Like, what's bed and bed? Did you say again?
It's basically a 5-bed, 3-bath.
Okay, it's like 3 full baths.
Huh?
3 full baths, or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So the master bath, and then this was downstairs, kind of like a guest bath downstairs. There's 1 bedroom downstairs. We staged that one as an office, right? And then this is like the guest bath downstairs, and then you had the master bath, and then this was the second bath upstairs, and there was 4 bedrooms upstairs,
Okay.
including the master. So, and that was one of there wasn't a lot of negatives, but that was one of the negatives with this house, is master was upstairs, you know. But then again, you had master plus 3 bedrooms. So if you think young family, kids, they're on the same level too. So that's kind of cool. And
Right.
but anyway, so this is the second bath. Just so this is just a few more pictures. So this was the entryway, the stair.
Wow.
Yeah, you like that? It's pretty cool. So we put that wallpaper, and so we asked our contractor to do the wallpaper. He's like, no, I don't do wallpaper. So my wife and I did this wallpaper. We're very proud. This was not easy wallpaper. It was tough, and we did this. We did the wallpaper in the other bathroom too. That was also, man, that one was not easy.
Yeah, it was tedious. Yeah,
To get those lined up,
you've got some patience.
dude, that was not easy. And they didn't even give you like any, there was no like overlap, so like you had to get it perfect. It took us a few days, and we may have argued a few times along the way.
So that's hard to do. I've been like, forget this, let's do tile.
I know. But it looked good, man. It looked good.
In
So
the future, I know a good wallpaper guy. He works cheap if you need one.
yeah, we would probably definitely hire that guy. It's just at the time we're like, what, let's just get it done. But so this, we repainted the staircase, and we put in these balusters, because it had like the old white wood, like old just contractor grade wood, white wood balusters. So we didn't replace the whole staircase. We looked into that, but the custom staircase guy was going to be like another $3-4 grand or something. So we're like, nah. We did the balusters to give it that modern look, and that ended up costing us like $500 or $600. So that worked out better. Put in the wallpaper, lighting, the door, you can see it from here too. Really nice door that we splurged on. But even that, I think we got that for like $5 grand. It wasn't too crazy, maybe $6 grand. So, and then paid like another $500 to install it. So it wasn't that crazy. But made a huge impact on the look outside and inside. So, again, another picture of the living room. We sort of talked through that with the kitchen picture, but just a little better picture of that. Got that fireplace nice and centered. Got rid of the window, got rid of the shelving. Oh, and actually something cool we did. So where that shelving is, we basically, because we had that space, the shelving to the left of the fireplace, we turned that into a closet because the garage is on the other side of that wall. So we made a little storage closet in the garage with that space. So that ended up being kind of cool. And just some other pictures. So that's the picture from the dining room, looking out over the deck onto the view. That's why we did that picture window, new lighting, put in new sconces. Same thing with this sliding door. They had the 5-foot double door. We did a 6-foot slider, because you can see it's not the best picture, but there's like 100-year-old oak tree out there. It's an amazing oak tree, beautiful oak tree. So, having the view off of that dining room into that oak tree, and there's a little more deck, out there, little sitting area. So that was really nice. This is the master bedroom. We really didn't do much other than the floor, the lighting, doors. I mean, we did do all new doors, hinges, hardware throughout the whole house, new trim, new baseboards, modern look. Actually, we didn't do all the baseboards. No, we kept the baseboards were okay. We did the door trim and the window trim in some areas. And then we did replace that window in the front, which is off of the master. That was a double to 2 double hungs to make the big picture window in the front of the house. That's what you're looking out from the master. And that actually has an amazing view as well. And that's why we had to keep one of those windows, right, for legal purposes, for fire purposes. We decided to keep this slider and then put the glass, because when they're laying in bed, they can look out that glass window and see hill country. So that was pretty cool. So this closet was also a big thing, because remember, there was 2 separate closets, right? So what we discovered is on the other side of this back wall was one of the bedrooms, and that bedroom had this really big closet. So the space you see kind of on the left side of this picture, all of that space was the closet from the other bedroom. So we took all that space and then we moved the back wall of that bedroom 2 feet into the bedroom, made a little bit smaller bedroom. And then that little bump out you see in this closet is the closet with the new closet for the small bedroom. And then we opened up more space for this closet. So this ended up being like one big walk-in closet. You can't see the whole closet. But it's a good size walk-in closet, you know, for a 2,800 square foot house is a pretty good size. And as you can see, we didn't go too fancy with this. It's pretty basic. Just again, where you choose where you spend the money. So the other thing, so this is the kind of the whole view. We did redo the lawn because all the grass was messed up. So we put in all of this grass. We redid the driveway. They had like an old asphalt driveway. Actually, it used to have a circular driveway that went right in front of the house, like right around, see where you see this circular fountain thing that we did. The driveway was basically going around that. And it was old asphalt. It didn't look good at all. So we ripped up all that asphalt and just replaced with a concrete driveway here on the left, and then put in all this new grass, put in the landscaping, put in the fire pit, the stone here. We added actually a bunch of soil to level the grass because it started, I mean, it was like sloping down into the trees. So we brought it up and leveled it and created a much bigger front yard. You can see the deck too. It's an awesome deck, man. It's a cool deck. We did the stairs here again, my wife's idea. These stairs are like 16 feet wide, and she did that to open up that view because when you're looking out the view from those sliding glass doors in the living room, it's open, so you can kind of, you're not having to look over the rails. So we made that real wide stair, those real wide stairs to keep that view nice and open.
What was the material you used for the deck?
It's Trex decking. Get it at Home Depot or Lowe's, I think. We got ours from Lowe's.
Uh,
And it was like the lower end model. It was like they have all different range. They can charge a lot of money for the decking, but we paid like, we just got the lowest end model. And when you're buying a lot of deck like that, you know, we have like a pro account there, whatever they call their Lowe's pro account, and then you get them to do a bid. And so like it may have, maybe the regular price in the store was like $8,000, but we got it for like 6,500 or something like that. You know, they'll give you a deal when you join their like their pro program. So, but yeah, I mean, if you pay for the most expensive decking, it could be like 20-25 grand just for the material.
wow.
It's not necessary, you know. It's a good deck. They're doing all
Good
this
thing,
fancy
man.
stuff just to charge people a lot of money, you know.
Yeah.
But it's still it's good quality. Okay, so that's the house. Any other questions on the house or anything about that?
What do you think? What do you feel like was the most extensive part?
Did you say extensive or expensive?
Extensive, like
Expensive was those beams. Those beams were a pain because of just the engineering, and we also, once we got up in the ceiling, we realized they had a lot of electrical problems. So we had to demo the entire ceiling for the kitchen and the living room. We had to rip all that drywall out, rerun all the electric. So that was the moment of the Fixer Upper show where they're like, oh man.
yeah.
So the beams kind of took us up into the ceiling, then we got in the ceiling, and now there's electric because it wasn't like, I mean, it just wasn't done right. Like, so we had to redo that. And when they did the remodel, I think for the kitchen, they didn't do the electrical right. So that led to some problems. And, you know, by the time you're redoing the whole ceiling, drywall, texture, paint, electric, so that definitely, you know, cost some time and money. But, you know, it was worth it because it made such a difference. Like that was a real big problem. That big stone wall, like that was not, no, maybe that was cool in 93, but not today. And people want open spaces, you know. What else? Anything else?
Uh, I was gonna ask like what was like the expenses versus how much you made.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
Yep. And Chris, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool. All right, well, I'm going to keep rolling. I'll just chime in. So, what really made this project work was dividing the land, right? So, this is a kind of a picture of how we divided the land. And what we did to divide the land is a condo regime, which Chris probably familiar with doing infill stuff. So, we were able to
All
do
too familiar.
Oh yeah. So we did a condo regime, which now the challenge of the condo regime is communicating that to the buyers, right? Especially in this area. But we had an amazing realtor, Scott McCord. I'll sing his praises. He's the best realtor in Austin. Highly recommend him. He's part of our mastermind group as well. But he just crushed it, and just a brilliant, brilliant, amazing realtor. But that's more of the challenges, right? How do you communicate to these buyers what a condo regime is? Most people don't understand it. But this is what's called a site condo, right? So all of these lots that people own the land, they own the property. It's basically practically the same as a subdivided single parcel lot, but it's legally it's one big 4.3 acre lot with allocations for each owner. Okay. So, but that's what turned this project into a highly profitable project. If we had just fixed up the house and tried to sell it as is, we would have lost a lot of money. But we knew there was money in the land, and this, by the way, this deal we bought off of the MLS. This was not like a wholesale or some unique find. It was just having a hard time selling because you have an old house, there's a lot of value in the land, but your everyday consumer doesn't care about that so much, right? So it was a really tough sell. And so it took somebody that kind of had to come in with a strategy. And so that's what we did. So we created 4 lots, one with a house, and then, one here on the right, and then 2 on the left. And that's what made this a really good deal. So to get into the numbers, Darius. To get
Yes.
the numbers. So we bought this property for
Hey,
two
Mike,
point.
real quick before you move on, how long did it take them to divide it into the flag lots?
So because it's a condo regime, it's actually a pretty simple process, right? We just filed that. I mean, we had to get the surveys and all that stuff together, but Julie Alexander was our condo attorney, and she's great.
Oh, yeah, I know her.
Yeah. So it was really pretty.
She's the best. She's a little more expensive, but I used her back in the day, and then I went away from her, and then she just handles everything. So I went back to her. So yeah, she's really good.
So I mean, it was like $5,500 for her, which wasn't. I didn't think that was too bad, um, especially for this type of project. But yeah, so we went with Julie. So that part was, not too crazy.
But did she draw it up, or do you have to get a civil engineer for that?
Well,
The
so
actual, like chopping up the actual survey.
yeah, because the process is really with the city, it's just a matter of filing. So we just did survey work. We didn't have to do site plan
Okay,
because we weren't building anything.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So so we got a separate permit for the house, for the remodel, but we weren't building anything on the land, so we didn't have to do a site plan. Now, yeah, so that's why.
Okay, good deal. Thanks.
So okay, cool. So 2.2 million is what we paid for it. We got hard money loan, 1.8 towards the purchase, and then we got 400,000 for rehab. Initially, we actually only got 200,000 for rehab, but I was able to go back to the lender and get another 200,000 a little ways into the project. So that was cool. And then now I will say the financing for this project almost killed the deal. So this is actually a really important thing what I'm about to share with you guys. the reason this deal didn't fall through is because we had 3 lenders that we were running with the deal. And the reason we had is because you need a backup and you need a backup to the backup. So we took this, well, I actually took this to several lenders. We found 3 that were interested in it. But because of the sophistication of this deal, even a lot of hard money guys were like, this is outside of our box, right? They're used to just a flip. But to have the flip with the development at this price point, it was scary for them. So we found 3 that were willing to give it a shot. Easy Street Capital was one, Lone Star Capital or Lone Ranger Capital, and then another one, I can't remember the name of it. So we had them all run numbers. So Easy Street, we've worked with them, they're good. But they came back and they wanted like $1 million. We had to have $1 million in hand, like, to run the deal. So they weren't giving us the kind of leverage, and they just wanted a lot of cash. So that kind of crossed them off of our list. So then it came down to Lone Ranger and this other company. So they both came up with similar terms, but the other company, and again, another lesson with this is use them to negotiate against each other. So I was the whole time I was negotiating them against each other to get the best rates, the best terms, the lowest points, all that stuff. So Lone Ranger was at 11% with 3 points, and this other company was at 10% with 2 points. So we wanted to go with the other company. Well, but we kept Lone Ranger in the game as a backup. Neither one of them knew that we had other lenders. And this is how you have to play with these hard money guys. I'm telling you. You know, I'm sure Chris, you know, like when you're dealing with these guys, like they will change on a dime, and that's exactly what happened. The day before closing, the lender we were going to go with completely changed our terms. Completely changed them. They said, "Oh, we're going to be 11%. We have to charge like 2.5 points, and we're going to give you $200,000 less funding."
Who was that said that?
Man, I can't remember their name because they pissed me off so much. Like
I gotta make sure I never work with. I mean, that's insanity.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we got 30 grand hard, you know, in this deal. Like or no, it was 10. I think we had like, no, we had 30. Yeah. Yeah. 20 something. Yeah. We had like $22,000 on the line. And, you know, that we don't close, we can lose all that money, right? Because we were past our option period. And the day before closing, they completely changed the terms. That would have screwed us up.
Did they have any justification for it? In their mind, anyway?
Well, their story was, you know, and I was talking to the owners of the company, right? And their story was, well, because their money, and most hard money guys, they're getting their money from other sources, right? They're not in-house. And so their story was, well, our sources, they just changed their mind, right? They can't do it. This is what they got to have, you know. But to me, that was all BS. It was their way to try to catch me and they're like, you know, we want you to close the deal. We know we don't want you to miss out on this deal. And I'm like, oh, you don't know, I'm about to drop you. so
Nice. I'm glad you had a backup.
I called Lone Ranger. I'm like, hey, you guys down? And they're like, yep. I called the other guys back. I'm like, sorry guys, that ain't gonna happen. So we went with Lone Ranger. And so Lone Ranger, even though it was a little more points, but that extra, it was like an extra, at that point, it was like an extra 300,000 in funding, you know, so because they were already coming with more funding than the other guys. So I think they were coming with like 100,000 more funding, but the other guys had a better rate, so we were going to go with them. So anyways, they actually bid it up pretty easy to deal with. I don't like their terms, you know, I don't like 11 and 3, but they were very quick to fund. They didn't ask any questions throughout the whole draws process. I got my draws within 2 or 3 days, typically max.
That's nice.
They never challenged anything. So that
what was the name again?
Lone Ranger Capital.
Okay. Lone Ranger.
Now their owner, the owner of that company, he got crappy with me on a call, and it really pissed me off. That's why I didn't want to deal with him at all. He got mad because I was negotiating, and he didn't believe I had the terms that I had with these other guys. So he tried to call me a liar. You know, he's like, "You're just making this up," and I'm like, "Dude." I text him screenshots. I'm like, "Dude, I have these terms," and it, you know, so but he got nasty with me, dude. I'm like, I did not want to deal with him, but we had to. So
They always think they have the best deal. They've told me that before. Oh no, that doesn't exist anywhere. And I'm like, okay, call around for yourself, you know?
right, he's like, "You can't get those terms. That's bullshit." I'm like, so I sent him the screenshots. I'm like, "Here's our term sheets," you know. But anyhow, well, I guess he partly was right because these other two guys backed out, you know, in kind of their own way. So but yeah, he turned into a douche, and that was not cool. And I don't like that stuff, dude. Like, be respectful at all times. But anyways, but they ended up being pretty easy to deal with, and I didn't deal with him at all throughout the whole process, so that was easy. So we did a syndication. So we did our own syndication. We raised $800,000. We projected a 23% return for our investors in a 12 to 18-month time frame. So because of that, because we raised the capital and we got the amount of funding that we got, the money that we had in the deal was more like cash flow management. And because we have extensive credit with our previous marketing company and things, we basically had $100,000 0% business credit card that we pulled for cash flow. So we actually didn't have any of our own cash in the deal. Apart from actually at one point, because it went a little bit longer than we thought, we had to cover a couple of payments. I think maybe like 40 grand we ended up putting in cash at the very, at the very end of the deal. But most of it, we just managed cash flow with our credit card and then pulled the draws. So
got some good points for that.
What's that?
I hope you got some good points. Good vacation.
Oh yeah, 1.5%, baby. Yeah,
Nice.
Chase Inc. Business Unlimited.
Oh, right on. I have an e.
You what?
I was saying I have an e card. Good stuff.
Yeah. Chase Inc. Unlimited. Another really good one for cash flow is the Amex Plum.
I've not heard of that one.
It's a 60-day card. You get 60 days, and even if you, and it's zero, so there's no interest, right? But it's like pay in full in 60 days.
Yeah.
But if you call them, they'll give you 90.
Good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, and there's no limit. So like with our marketing company, we were running that up to like 100 grand a month at some point.
Oh, wow.
And so you can really, they just look at it by use. So it's a no limit card, but they'll start you with something. I mean, you don't have a technical limit, but you can't just go put 100 grand.
Yeah, sure.
But it's a really good cash flow. Okay, so the all-in budget was a little over 3 million. We ended up selling it for all the properties for a little bit over 4 million. Closing costs were 173,000, so the net profit was 772. Our investors got 200 grand of that profit. That ended up being 25%. So we beat our return projections, and we did it in 16 months. So we were within the time frame. Investors are happy, and then we made 572,000 on that deal.
Not a bad payday.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, not bad, right? And so, like I said, we played a different game, than a lot of people. But
On
so
that on that syndication, how long did it take you to raise that capital?
So that was actually unusually easy. It was, I mean, I would say by the grace of God, we did it in like a few days.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many investors did you have?
We had about 10-ish, maybe
So
like
you have to go to
9 different investors. Some were couples,
Did you have to go to a securities attorney and get like a syndication documents made? What
Yes.
did that cost?
That for this deal, again, because we were part of that club out of Dallas and we got in touch, Dugan Kelly out of Dallas. Kelly Clark is the law firm. Awesome. They're the best. They are the best SEC attorneys in in the country, in my opinion. The guy speaks at all the major conferences and stuff, but this is all he does is SEC, work, and for syndicators. Like that's all he does, and been doing it for a really long time. But he gave us a killer deal. We only paid $7,500.
Okay, yeah, because I've always heard that's really expensive.
Yeah, usually like 15 to 20 grand is the going rate.
Oh, wow.
So now on the last one we did, he also kind of looks at it at the size of the race, because this was only 800,000. He gave us a discount. Plus we were kind of part of the club and we met him. So I think we got the friends and family rate also, but like, so we did another deal where it was a little more of a raise, and we ended up having to pay like 16 grand, but that was a different kind of deal. It wasn't, we were actually a fund of funds. So we were raising equity for another deal, and
Yeah.
that's actually more sophisticated and complicated. So that costs even more money.
The hard money, that's what y'all had used for working capital.
Yeah, it was, to buy the property and for some of the rehab working capital. And then also the capital raise was for the down payment, right? 400 grand down, closing costs, and then also some working capital.
Okay, so I just mixed the syndication amount and the hard money together.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had the 400 for the rehab, and then we had the 800 total. 400 went to down payment, 400 for
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what helped to cover the budget. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So that was that. That's deal number one. Deal number two is going to
That's
take
awesome. Hey,
about.
Mike, I gotta pop off. I gotta cram for this meeting in the morning. But
Okay,
I
cool.
think I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to stay on 3 more minutes, this deal number two is very quick.
Oh yeah, okay. I got 3 minutes.
This is, and I saved it for number two because y'all are gonna be like, what? So let me just roll real quick.
Okay.
So this is deal number two, and this is the only picture I could find because it's been a few years, but this was a waterfront lot. The lot, I don't know if can you see my arrow? It's like right here.
Yeah.
That's where the lot was. We found this lot off market. It's in our neighborhood. I was just talking to an agent about land because we were looking for land. He told me, well, we got these lots, waterfront lots. He had them in their pocket listings, and they were asking $400,000 for this lot. I thought at the time it was worth at least 6, if not 7. And so we jumped on it immediately. We got it for 400 grand. This was in March of 21. We got 360,000 in hard money, financing at 90% from hard money on land. That was some negotiation skills. I convinced Easy Street this was worth $600,000 because it was, so I just worked with them. So they were willing. They don't even typically lend on land. Like hard money guys don't like land. So, but convinced them that this was a good deal. They ended up giving us, and was working Lone Ranger. Yeah, I was working Lone Ranger and Easy Street against themselves.
Nice.
So again, work them, negotiate them against each other. So I got, well, Lone Ranger is going to give me 85%, or whatever. So then they went up to 90%. So anyways, so only had to put 40K down, got 90% financing. We held it, did some marketing. We listed it ourselves through MLS listing service, which is a way where you can become the realtor. So we didn't pay the realtor fee on our side. We hired JP Morales, who's like one of the best photographer guys in town, to make an amazing video, website, pictures. That's 90% of the realtor's job, by the way. So I was the realtor. I represented the other side. We had amazing marketing, but we saved a lot of money on that. So our all-in budget was like 20 grand. We sold this property 6 months later for $933,000.
Holy cow. Wow.
30 grand in closing costs because we only paid the other side. Made $483,000. We did not do anything to this land.
This is my favorite deal I've ever heard of.
This is like the best deal ever, isn't it? I mean, come on. This whole deal took us like 20 hours of work.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, not a bad hourly rate. So was it perfect timing? Yes, it was. It was March of 2021. You know,
Hey, timing's everything.
but did we know things were, I mean, the writing was on the wall at that point, right? There was no inventory, you know, so we knew, I mean, things were already getting crazy. So and I also know this lake like the back of my hand because we've been looking at it for 20 years.
When did you put it on the market?
What's that?
Wait, how long was it on the market?
Maybe a month. I mean, I think we listed it in September and got a cash buyer. Listed it for $1 million and got a cash buyer out of Dallas, actually.
Nice, way to go.
Yeah. So yeah, just worked with the agent. The agent was super cool on the other side. We worked it out.
So what's the MLS listing thing? You can put stuff on there without being a realtor?
Yeah, that's a great tip too. MLS listing service. The guy we went with is Jared English. Let me see if I can find his company real quick. But we paid $300 to list it on the MLS. And so that was like our realtor fee. And then we paid JP like $900 to do the website, photos, video, awesome video. So we had really good marketing. So we were like $1,200 is all we paid to list it. And then I just handled the calls and you know how realtors are, man, they're lazy. I probably did a better job than they did.
They are lazy, especially during the boom. They all got used to not having to work during the boom, and then after the boom went away, they just
Yeah,
don't work anymore. They don't hustle.
yeah, Scott McCord is amazing. Yeah, Jared English. Let's see, where did I get it through? Oh yeah, Congress Realty. Yeah, Congress Realty, Jared, Jared English. I will. Yeah, that's the end of the presentation. So I'll stop sharing and then I'll put that in the chat for you guys. Jared English. Yeah, that he's again did a little research and he's really good. Just he's really good platform. You basically just put all the stuff in as if you were they walk you through a process, right? As if you were listing it on the MLS, and then they just list it for you. They don't do anything for you, but that's I mean they get it on the MLS. That's the whole thing, right? That's the marketing engine.
Yeah, I mean these days everyone has Zillow and looks there before they do anything anyway.
Yeah. And especially considering it was land, I'm like, okay, I know this land better than any realtor I know because I know the lake so well. I've been looking at it for 20 years. We've been buying a property with lake views and stuff, but that was a big dream, was to be near the lake for a long time. So
Nice, good deal. Well, thanks for sharing. I'm out of here, but I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome, Chris.
Y'all have a good one. Good meeting you guys.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, you too.
All right, Chris.
Bye, guys.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording too.